What's up, everybody? So we are back at it again. Chapter 2. We just finished chapter 2. We went into chapter 3. Describes how this life is meant for sacrifice, how we have to serve in relationship with Krishna. Our life is meant for a form of sacrifice. It's because essentially we are not, we don't originate from this material world. We originate from the spiritual world, which is a higher level, a higher dimension. So we originate from there. So we don't originate from here. So we shouldn't live here working as if we belong here. We should work in relation to the supreme truth, the absolute truth. And so that's why we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This is our home. The frequency is everything. And so this frequency is the frequency of the soul and its relationship with God. So that's why it's very important that we meditate on this. This is the process of devotional service. How do we serve God? Chanting His names. It's very simple. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It's not too complicated. Anybody can do it. Offering our food to God, deeper bliss. So this is like the nature of our relationship with God. The more we work on it, the better it gets. So chapter 2 explains what is it that keeps us from attaining pure devotional service, right? So it says, so this is intelligence, good intelligence. To develop good intelligence, we can't be hankering after material opulence and sense gratification. Because it says from meditating, by meditating on sangat sanjayate kama, from meditating on sense objects, one develops attachment for them. From this attachment, lust develops, kama. And from lust, kama krodha bhajayate, krodha, anger, we become angry. So this is why frustration is in the hearts of so many people. Because they want things and sense objects, things of the body, things of the flesh, things of the nose, taste, eyes. They want to experience certain things. And they're meditating upon experiencing them. If they don't experience it, they become angry. And from this anger, krodha bhavati samoha, samohat smiti rukma, smiti prahasad budina so budina sapranasiti. You become put into illusion, and from this illusion you lose your memory, you become bewildered, and you act unsenselessly. And then at that point you're back into the material pool. So this is how people go from a little bit crazy, to really crazy, to really, really crazy. So this is what we're constantly fluctuating through. So we want to get to a state beyond anchoring and lamenting, because we want true peace. And who can attain true peace? Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita. He says, he says that those who follow these teachings faithfully without envy will never again become bewildered. And in this state, they could actually return to the kingdom of God. He says, and this is the way of godly and spiritual life, right? And then one can return back to the kingdom of God. So this is really, really sweet. So now we're in chapter 3. And this chapter is explaining, it goes into the modes of material nature a little bit. So it says, Prakriti kriyamanani gune karmani sarvasam ahankara vimutatma kartahamiti manite. And explains how the spirit soul is bewildered by the modes of material nature, thinking himself to be the doer, which are in actuality being carried out by the modes of nature, by nature's law. So our mind is governed by certain laws. Everything we do is actually governed by certain laws of creation. And so we think, I want to do this, but this is actually nature's law. Because the soul is actually beyond all this. The soul is behind everything. It's the pure consciousness. It is sentience. And that pure consciousness is connected with God. God is right there next to it, observing it and knowing exactly what it's going through. And so the soul is here and exerting. Like, we didn't create this body. This body is manifested from material energy. But we're spiritual energy. We're consciousness. We're beyond this. body is just receiving end of all this. And everything's a combination of three. It's like things that are rotting, things that are just bright, and things that are really too pure, too early. So you can see it, how it manifests. It's described that everything's a combination of these three things, just like how, the primary colors, it's red, yellow, and blue, and every other color is a combination of them. So like that, material energy, goodness, passion, and ignorance, which translates to sattva, raja, and tamas. So sattva is goodness, raja is passion, tamas is ignorance. So everything is a combination of these three things, and so we are constantly affected by it, and we're seeking these things. And so this is why we think we're doing things, but in actuality, it's just nature's law. We are here experiencing it. We feel the body, and we're aware of the body. But our awareness is actually much deeper than that. And so that's in a pretty solid part that chapter 3 hits upon. And then finally, Krishna says, gives instruction to Arjuna. He says, "Mai sarvani karmani sanyasyatma chetasa nirasena mamo bhuktva yudasva bhikta chora." And he says that surrender your mind onto me, surrender your activities onto me. And he says, being free from lethargy, devoid of false ego, with no sense of proprietorship, you should fight this battle. And then later he explains Krishna says another thing, because Arjuna is like kind of bewildered, because he's like, yeah, this is really nice what you're saying and stuff, but my mind, it's like, it's my enemy in a lot of ways. Like, I may not want to do something, but still, like, why do I do things that I don't want to do? Like, why do I do things that are harmful for myself, even though I don't want to? So this is a situation we find ourselves in. Like, we know that taking cold showers are good for us, but we might not want to. And we know that we shouldn't eat sugar, but we do anyway. It's like all these things. So it's like, why? Why are we doing these things if we don't even want to? Why is it we're kind of like, why are we seeking out pain? And then Krishna says, thus the living entity's pure consciousness is covered over by lust, his eternal enemy in the form of lust, which is never satisfied, which burns like fire. Avritam jñāna-vijñāna-nāśanam jñāni no nitibhāyana kāma-rūpena kaunteya duspurena nacha. So he describes this insatiable lust. He says that as a mirror is covered by dust, as a fire is covered by smoke, and as the womb is covered by the embryo, similarly we are all covered over. Our pure consciousness is covered over by different degrees of lust. So that's pretty hard. That's a heavy statement. We all have lust within our hearts. That's why even when we begin to meditate, lust is still there, and that's because it's covering over our pure consciousness, just different degrees of it. But the more you come to spiritual life, the more control you get over that. If you're advancing properly with the proper guidance and doing the right things, then the layers of lust, they're still there, but they're not going to affect you in the same way it would if you weren't practicing. And you get a deeper awareness about it, and you learn how to meditate on Krishna and his teachings. That's why it's very important that we meditate on the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita, we should pray to the Bhagavad Gita and ask the Bhagavad Gita for its divine understanding, for us to please understand the Bhagavad Gita. Pray to the Bhagavad Gita, pray to Krishna sincerely, and pray for this Buddha Yoga to come down and into our minds. And so Krishna's major instruction here in chapter 3, he explains this lust, and then he says, tasmāt tvam indriyāṇi ādau niyamya bharatarṣabha pāpmānam prajahi jñāna-vijñāna-nāśanam. He describes that from the very beginning we should curb this great enemy, lust, conquer over it, and in this consciousness, because this great enemy is the destroyer of knowledge. Lust destroys our intelligence. It destroys our brains even. People who are studying, people who are doing things academically, and I'm sure they can notice too, where if they're having intimate relationships, it takes away their intelligence because they're not able to focus. A lot of writers, they have to remain single a lot of times just so that they can write this masterpiece that they're trying to write. And so, many people can understand on a practical level how intimacy and sexual relationships destroy an aspect of your creativity, of your practicality, of all these things. So, as monks, we're also trying to do something pretty big. We're trying to do the biggest thing out there, actually. We're trying to free our consciousness from this material contamination.